My name is Susanna. I currently living in Bonaire, the Dutch Caribbean. I work as a photographer, and this is a tutorial for beginner underwater photographers. I would like to give you some tips and advices on how to use point-and-shoot cameras, something like this, or maybe later on give some advices on bigger cameras to upgrade to DSLR underwater photography. Welcome to my office. Now we are ready to go for a dive, and what we need to do is prepare our gear, prepare our camera, the housing, and make sure that it all works together and it's waterproof. So you need your camera, you need to make sure you have your battery or batteries charged, you have an SD card, and then these need to be put together so that the camera works. Copex cameras use different batteries. This particular one is using 2 AA rechargeable batteries. So what you need to make sure is that you have charged batteries and you have an SD card ready to go. Let's see how it works. You open the battery and SD card compartment. You put your battery or batteries inside as it shows on the little stickers. And you also place your SD card. You put your battery or batteries in with your SD card. You still need to make sure that it actually turns on, because that could be a good indicator that you misplaced the batteries or you put the SD card in wrong. As you can see, this is all ready to go. Then you need your housing. You need your O-ring, really important piece. So to put it in, you need to clean it. You need to lubricate it with a lubricant. You need to clean the place where the O-ring is going to be put in to make sure that there is no sediment, salt, or dust. Here is our housing for underwater use. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to open it up and take care of the O-ring. The O-ring is really important because that's what creates the seal. So what we are going to do is first take the O-ring out. So I'm going to use the O-ring removal. It's so simple. Of course you can use anything else. A credit card or any kind of removal would work just fine. Now when you look at this housing, you can see that it was used on a dive before. So I'm going to make sure that this is clean. It's always good to make sure that this is clean and you can place an O-ring there just fine. For that, you're gonna use a Q-tip. That's the best way to clean it for any kind of housings. So I'm gonna take a Q-tip and then clean this. You see how nicely this removes everything? Anytime you open your housing in between dives and you want to close it again, it's advisable to clean the O-ring, re-lubricate it, because again, sand or sediment can go in between and you do not want to close that inside the housing. So now housing is ready to go. So before you lube the O-ring, you can make sure and you just run your fingers on it to get debris or sediment or even sand off. If your O-ring is really dirty, it got dirty between 2 dives, you can put it under the tab and just wash it off. Now when it's clean enough and you're ready to lube, you need to use silicone gel, which can be any brand, is really to moisturize your O-ring. So you put a tiny bit on your finger, just a little bit, just a really tiny bit, so that it's enough to make it a little bit wet looking. Why it's so important? Because most of the O-rings are made of rubber or Teflon, and if they dry out, they crack, and then the camera can flood in the housing. So when that's done, you can actually have a really close look of the O-ring. If you take your time doing this, then every single time before your dive, you can make sure that it's really less likely to flood your camera. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna place it on the housing just where it belongs. Slips in nice and easy, and there it is, ready to go. So now when that's done, then you grab your camera and you place it in. As I said, each cameras have their own housing, so they need to be fitting nicely. If you have to force, you need to push, then something is definitely in the way or it's not putting correctly. What I saw before, some people try to put that little camera in upside down, and then you can see, like you're seeing it here, it's not going to fit good and you won't be able to close your housing. So when it's good, then it fits in just like this, okay? Now because today I'm using a plastic housing, I'm gonna put a little desiccant in, which fits right here on the bottom. Of course, there are little gaps everywhere, so you can choose your own spot and you're ready to go. Now the only thing I need to do is to close this housing, and as you can see, with this particular housing on the right side, we have a lanyard. Now, what I noticed that sometimes people have it just hanging around and they close it in between. So when you're closing your housing, you need to make sure that you don't need to force anything. It needs to go nice and easy. The moment you are pushing, pressing, and forcing, there's something in between or there's something inside that your camera is not sitting right. So now I'm going to close this, and then I'm working with a buckle system. So I just put this on and I hear click. There you go. When you hear that click, then you have it right. So now it's clicked, and before you actually go in the water, we're going to test this camera. Now what is also really nice to do is you have a port, and this port, I'm sure every one of us touches with fingers, so you have some fingerprints on, but I hope that inside you're not touching it that much. But what I'm gonna do with my little cleaning cloth, I'm just going to clean it off. If you have water on it, it's not a big deal because of course there's gonna be plenty of water in the sea. So I'm gonna clean this off, and now we are ready to go. I put this lens cap back on to protect the lens, and now I'm going to go for a bubble check.